I mean, big tech and big government are two of the things I'm most afraid of. For my friends on the left, I would say, imagine if the two largest sources of income for a newspaper were big oil and big tobacco. You'd be pretty sure there wouldn't be a lot of deep expose into oil or tobacco. And when Justin Trudeau and his cabinet, I mean, I saw the Globe and Mail was listing the most influential people in Canadian showbiz. And the number one in their selection was the government minister of heritage. That is such an unhealthy thing. If you said, who's the most powerful person in Hollywood? Who's the most powerful person in the American entertainment industry? And you came up with a cabinet minister, you would say that is a deeply unhealthy industry. But no, that is the Canadian way. I got a question for you, though, because you were on the CRTC and you had sort of a freedom mandate from Stephen Harper. How is this going to go? Does the CRTC know? I mean, part of me is hoping that they don't have the capacity, the know-how, or the smarts to do this. The idea of just regulating the internet, which they haven't done before. They had a small number of TV and radio stations. They've been doing that for more than for decades. They know what they're doing. What do you think it'll be like when these laws pass and suddenly this fairly obscure agency that was becoming obsolete because of technology suddenly becomes the most important agency in the country other than the CRA?
Yeah, well, there's two ways to look at it. One is consider the institution itself and its reputation, which is not terribly popular. At the same time, I have worked there, and there are some smart people there. And I think some of the new people that have been appointed are smart people too. So I'm going to take off my doom and gloom hat for a minute here and try to be optimistic that people at the CRTC will look at a lot of the issues you just pointed to. Do we have the resources? Do we have the technical background, the knowledge, the ability, the history, the institutional memory to be able to take on something as simple as, we're going to regulate the global internet, right? I mean, that's a huge task. So I'm hoping, because there are some smart people there, that they take a look at Bill C-11 out of the gate, and they carve off scope. They go back to what the government said was its original hope was to get money from big streaming companies and have them contribute to these official government funds. I mean, that's a very 1980s approach to the 21st century, but that said, we are where we are. And if they're in that position, the very best thing for them should be to say, okay, out of the gate, anything we do now, everything else, everything that has revenue of less than $150 million a year, and I'm thinking that might be you, Ezra, is exempt. And we are not even going to walk in that space. Everything over $150 million, the Netflix, the Disneys, etc., that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to deal with. Down the road, they'll probably get to the rest, which is another issue. But out of the gate, if they're smart, they'll just carve off the big money pie and start dividing that up for their friends in the CanCon industry.
Well, I am always worried because I know that in the past, and again, this interview is about C-18 and the CRTC. It's not about Rebel News. But I do know that in the past, the Prime Minister himself has shown a great interest in Rebel News. He refers to us on the floor of the House of Commons. He condemns our reporters on the rare occasion when they talk to him. His bodyguards beat up our reporter, David Menzies.
They smashed my face into a wooden wall.
The reality is, organizations like yours that continue to spread misinformation and disinformation, I won't call it a media organization, your group of individuals need to take accountability. Polarization that we're seeing in this country.
It is disappointing to see the Conservatives engage in peddling rebel media, conspiracy theories.
J'ai partagé ma perspective sur ton organisation hier soir. J'ai plus rien à dire.
You censorious thug! You physically assaulted me!
So it would not surprise me if there was some squad that was deputized to solve the problem of those rambunctious online conservative news outlets. I don't know if they would go for Western Standard Online or True North as well, but I am pessimistic. I don't think they want to leave us alone, but we'll see. That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism